say, we got to kill all the Jews, we have to kill all the Gypsies, we have to kill all this, people would say, one second, but God doesn't want us to do that. God doesn't want us to. So what are you talking about? There's no such thing as God. I don't know. There's 7 Noahide commandments that says that there's God and that God is creating us and that we have to believe in God. And God doesn't want us to kill and God doesn't want us to steal. And God, where'd you get this nonsense? What is it? This is not so, right? Stalin is God and this guy is God and Napoleon is God. Who knows? Is God. Says, listen, you can say what you want to, but it's not so. I mean, it's just not so. There's 7 Noahide commandments, and there's something greater than just a bigger Germany or, communism will take over the world. There's something more real. People will have a higher value, a different dimension of values in their mind. You understand? That's what Mashiach is going to do. Mashiach is going to present people with the big picture. He's going to present people with the big picture. In Stalin's Russia, the biggest picture there was communism. That was it. Communism was the ultimate reality, and because people don't see this reality as that's why there's so much trouble in the world, we must change them. And the people that can't be changed will have to be eliminated. What can we do? But the big picture is communism. The Germans said no. The big picture is Deutschland über alles, a big Germany. When the Germans rule the world, then there'll be a good world. Right? So all of a sudden everyone was given, they were taken out of their small realities, their one-dimensional world, and they were put into a two-dimensional world. Who? There's something more than just me. There's the country, there's the idea, there's the ideal. Understand? Napoleon was freedom and equality and brotherhood. That there's got to be all these other people all of a sudden were fired up with this big idea. But Mashiach is going to come with a three-dimensional world. He's going to say, listen, what you guys are doing is very good. You came from a low level. You were just purely egotistical. And now you're in a bigger level where you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the country or your religion. Or something. It's good. But you should know that that's just a step. The biggest step is to know of Hashem. What about God? God is creating you. God gave a Torah. God gave rules what to do. Think big. Think positively. When a person thinks in a bigger way, then he's not going to be all of a sudden stuck in this little way. Just like a person in Russia that he didn't want to go to the army, or in Napoleon's, he didn't want to go there. They'd say, what's wrong with you? What are you normal? So what do you mean, what am I normal? I have a life to live. I want to be happy. I want to drink wine. I want to go to the theater. They say, what are you, some sort of a traitor? You don't believe in the ideas of Napoleon. You can't think of yourself. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That's what it was. Thousands of people, they just all of a sudden just left everything, the gay life of France, of Paris, and they left all these things that the French lived for, and they suddenly wanted to fight in battles, and they didn't care about anything. They went in the fire and with swords and everything. What happened? Napoleon, a big idea. A bigger idea. They all of a sudden left their little one-dimensional world. They got into a new dimension. It says Mashiach is going to do the same thing. But he's going to do it in a real way. Napoleon was a faker. Fact is, he was a faker. He didn't give anybody liberty, not fraternity, not equality, nothing. Right? He just brought death and destruction to the whole world. But Hashem is really creating the world. That's the fact. And Hashem wants there to be a good world. And Hashem doesn't want us to kill. Hashem doesn't want us to steal. Right? Communism was just, the whole thing was killing and stealing. They just stole money from everybody, killed anybody who resisted. Right? The same thing with all these others. Hashem doesn't want those things. When a person suddenly realizes that, then it becomes a different world. Then the world becomes different. That's what Mashiach will do. That's what it means. Quote. Quote. Torah, he takes it. The Torah will come out from you. Omer, Hashem said, Torah Chadasha, a new Torah, may it be from me, they say will come out. Chidush Torah, a renewed Torah, may it be from me, they say will come out. End quote. That's what we read. We'll go over the Maamar in the first paragraph we brought from Yikra, Rabbah, the Midrash. Shahari, behold. What do you mean it's going to be a new Torah? Hari, behold, HaTorah lo tishtaneh. The Torah will never change. Chas v'shalom, God forbid. Ki, because the Torah, nitzchi, the Torah is eternal. The Torah is eternal, and the laws of the Torah are eternal, and they will never change. So what does it mean there's going to be a new Torah? Ela but, Shakodesh Baruch Hu, that Hashem, Yigaleh, will reveal. Pirush Chadash, a new meaning, the Torah and the Torah. Ma Shalom Nidgala, that which was not revealed, the Olamim forever. It was never had been revealed. And it was, except for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. That's the greatness of Rabbi Shimon. We were just by his grave in Miron. That was Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon revealed the Torah that Mashiach is going to be revealed. Right? Of course, people didn't understand it, but they said by him there was already the redemption. Says, and it was mechusa, and it was hidden, v'ne'alam, and concealed, Moshe Rabbeinu, even from Moshe Rabbeinu. It was revealed and concealed even from Moshe Rabbeinu, ha'avos, and the avos and Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. But Torah zu, and in this Torah, what will be revealed? Yitgale, there will be revealed tamei hamitzvos, the reasons for the commandments. Shehem, that they are ne'alamim, concealed, achshav, now, me'itanu, from us. V'gam, and also hama'at ma'at, the little tiny bit. Sha'anu yodim, that we do know, like from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and from the Arizal, that we do know B'tamia mitzvahs, from the reasons of the commandments. Huh? Hama'at means the little, dima'at, of the little. In other words, the 100th of a percent of 100th of a percent. Sha'anu, that we. She, that. Anu, we. Good? Huh? Even this little bit, sha'anu, that we. Yodim, we know. B'tamia mitzvahs, in the reasons for the commandments. Mipi, from. Svorim, books. Umipi, it's a printing error. It should be mipi, svorim, umipi, sofrim. But it's no big mistake. Umipi, that what we know from mipi means from the mouth of books. It's another way of saying from books, umipi, sofrim, and from authors of books. In other words, that we read from the Arizal and from the people who aren't alive now, and we hear from the Rebbe, people who are alive, who is rak, only the things that we do know from Kabbalah. It is only al derech, like yediat mitziuto, that we know that they are. We know of the existence of these things. We know that they are velo mahuto, and we don't know of what they are. Klal at all. Like, for instance, explaining to a blind person what color is. Let's say a blind person never saw color before in his life. Can you explain to him what color is? Maybe you get it. I mean, you get a, you tell him that there's a certain sense. There's different sounds, and there's a different sound. There's an A and a B and a C and a D, and there's a sharp and a flat, and you can tell the difference between sounds. So we should know that there's another sense that you're not aware of. You see how you have to go with a stick, and when you walk in the street, other people don't have to go with a stick because they can sense things that are in front of them. There's a thing which is called color. Anyway, you could figure out somehow a way how to tell them that there's different vibrations, maybe different levels of heat that come out from red, that comes out from white, that comes out from black. You could explain to him all sorts until finally maybe he could even get a little idea of what was being spoken about. Right? Maybe we'll get a little idea. But all he would know is that there is such a thing as sight. But he wouldn't know what it is. The same thing is by us. The little bit that we know of what God is and what the reasons of the commandments are, we just know that there are such things, but we don't really know what they are. We're like blind people with sight. You can imagine that there is such a thing, but you have no real idea what it is. You can know that it is, but not what it is. That in the essence of these things, of godliness, ein lanu musag, we have no idea whatsoever. Okay, understand? Nowadays we have no idea what it means, godliness. Like I say, a blind person, You can explain to him there is such a thing as sight. All these other people are walking around, they don't have sticks. How can it be? Because they have a certain sense which is called sight. He starts to understand there must be something. Here you can feel the two things in your eyes. Feel that's your eyes. You feel that with your eyes, right? By you it doesn't work, but by other people they do work. You can get a little bit of an idea what it is, here the braille that you read, right? Other people can sense this in a different way. They don't have to feel it with their hands. You can see, so little by little he can start to understand that there is such a thing as sight. But he knows that it is, but he doesn't know what it is. The same thing with us by God. We can read the ideas of Kabbalah, we can read the ideas of Hasidus, we can read about Hashem and the oneness of Hashem. We know that there is such a thing as Hashem. We can believe in it, but we don't really know what it is. We can't really feel it. Right? We can't feel it. There were people like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and those people, they could feel it, but even them, their feeling was only a little tiny bit. Shahari, because behold, Gam, even, Al, An, Hasaga, understanding, Klal is general understanding, Inyan Aruchnis, of this whole topic of spirituality, even to just to believe that there is such a thing, or to understand a little bit of spiritualness, tzarichim, it is necessary, yegia, effort, gedola, big, ve'atzuma, and tremendous. You have to have tremendous effort to understand anything that's spiritual, even if there is something spiritual. Ubefrat, and especially hasagas, understanding. Mehus haruchnis, the essence of what spirituality is, the Tamiya mitzvahs, and the reasons for the commandments. To understand what God has to do with the commandments, even more, that God is creating the world, that's a fantastic thing. God is creating the world, geez, what an idea. And there's all these different levels of creation and everything, and it's nothing compared to the godliness that's in the commandments. The commandments comes from the essence of God, right? Even higher than the creation of the world. Can we possibly have any idea what this is? Says the Rebbe, Torah Zu, this Torah, that's the new Torah, Yilmod, will learn, Lanu, with us, Melech HaMashiach. Kasiv B, that it says by the Mashiach, Hine, behold, Yaskil, see, of thee, my servant. Yaskil means contemplate, my servant. Yoram, exalted. Vanisa, and elevated, v'gava, and high, me'od, very, very much. Uperish Ramaz, and the Ramaz, Rav Moshe Zechut, he explained ideas in the Zohar. Shehem, or Zechuta, Shehem, they are this sentence of Isaiah talking about the Messiah. The Mashiach is going to be. It says, Yaskil, of the Yoram Venisa Vagava. No, I'm sorry. Yaskil. Of the Yoram Venisa Vagava Ma'od. That the Mashiach is going to be my servant, elevated, high. Another word for what? Exalted, very much. 5 praises. Nega, this corresponds to 5 madrigas, 5 levels of the soul. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. The David HaMelech Alav Shalom. Zacha merited lebechinas nefesh. Kamosh Katuv, like it says, nefesh David. Huh? I don't see. Oh, de David. I see. De that. It's an abbreviation. David HaMelech. See where we are, Borach. You have it. That David HaMelech, King David, Allah HaShalom, upon him be peace. David HaMelech HaShalom. Zacha, merited, lebechina, to the level of nefesh.
What is what makes the level of
The 5 levels of the soul. Have you ever heard of the 5 levels of the soul before?
Yeah.
Okay, so the soul is like the, no. This is also abbreviation. I'm sorry. This is also abbreviation. I'm sorry. Just nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. That's the 5 levels of the soul. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. The David HaMelech, Alav Shalom, David HaMelech, upon him be peace, zacha, merited, lebechinas nefesh, to the level of nefesh. Kamosh Katuv, like it's written, nefesh David, the soul of David. David HaMelech, he purified this lowest level of the soul, called nefesh. Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet, Zachal Ruach, he merited to Ruach. Lochen, therefore, Allah, he went up, B'si'ara, in a storm, in a wind, Shamayma, to the heaven. Ruach is wind. So David purified the lowest level, called Nefesh. Eliyahu, the second lowest level, the level above that, called Ruach. Moshe, Zacha, merited, L'neshama, to the level of Neshama. Of course, this is not in chronological order, right? Chronological order. Moshe was first, and David was second, and Elijah the prophet came after David, a few hundred years. B'sa'ara, Allah went up, B'sa'ara, in a wind, in a storm, a shamayma, in heaven. You know the story of Elijah the prophet, how he died? You know the story? You want to know it? Huh? You know that? Chariot, yeah. Hashamayma, to heaven. To heaven. Moshe Zacha merited L'neshama, to the level of Neshama. What's a level of Neshama? Panemius Bina, the inside of Bina, Chitzonius Abba, and the outside of Chachma. The inside of Bina, the outside of Chachma. Remember, we talked a little bit about Bina before. That's the level of Neshama. Neshama is intellect. Adam HaRishon, the first man, he was before everybody. Adam HaRishon, Zacha merited L'chaya, to the level of Chaya. What's Chaya? Chaya is one of the surrounding levels of the soul. We learned about it. So it goes, in chronological order, it goes backwards. Right? Well, not exactly backwards, but... So you have David HaMelech purified the lowest level. Then Elijah the prophet came way after David. He purified the second level, Ruach. Then Moshe, that came way before David. He purified the level of Neshama. And Adam HaRishon, that he was the first man, he purified the level of Chaya, which is the personification of that level. What about the highest level, Yechida? Who do you think is going to purify that? Mashiach. That's the level of a Mashiach. Mashiach Yizkel Yechida. Because Mashiach will merit to this level of Yechida, Lochin, therefore, Hine, behold, Hu Davka, he only, specifically, Yilmad will teach Da'at, awareness, Lalechet, to go, Badarki Hashem, in the way of God. Just one more line. Kamo Shehem, as they are, Bepenimiut, in the inside of the Torah. Shehem, that they are, Turachim Chadashim, new ways, Shahayam Mechusa, that were covered, Vene'alam, and hidden, Gam, even from Moshe Rabbeinu. It's abbreviation, from Moshe Rabbeinu, Allah HaShalom, upon him be peace. Good? And that's today's class. God willing, we'll try to finish tomorrow. We'll go over the Maamar. Good? You have questions? You have words you didn't get? Or